Ready. Play.
Okay, Craig is joining us just a few hours before the match. He's on New York public transport, so bear with us for some connection issues. We can blame New York public transport for that. Craig, just quickly, the first question I have is Medvedev beating Alcaraz. That wasn't in the script, right?
No, that certainly was not in the script. Daniil rightly in his post-match interview said, he needed to play flawless tennis to win that match. Instead of saying he reached a 10 out of 10 level, he actually said he reached a 12 out of 10 level. So he said that was what it took to win that match. So he certainly had his game together. He certainly played smart. The first set tiebreaker was everything, and then he kind of ran away with it from there. But Carlos kind of lost a little. I don't know whether it was trust or certainly a little confidence in his game towards the end of that first set, and that just carried over for the rest of the match. So, Daniil's going to have to find another 12 out of 10, I think, to get through Novak in the final.
Talking of the final, what bearing will the 2 years ago match have on today's match?
Yeah, I certainly would look at that. If I was on the coaching team of either of those guys, I'm going to go back and look at that match and use that as a guide. I'm also going to go back to Australia when Novak beat Daniil in the final and look at that as a guide as well. So essentially, the number one factor in this match is really simple. The more the point flows through the ad court, backhand to backhand, the more it's going to favour Daniil. The more angle they get in that backhand to backhand, the more it will favour Daniil. And Novak's not used to that. In Cincinnati, Novak actually used that exact tactic to beat Carlos in the final by getting a lot of angle backhand to backhand, which takes away the running on forehand and makes it difficult to hit backhand moves down the line because that angle becomes a lot tougher, a lot smaller. So this is something where Novak's going to have to adjust. When he did beat Daniil in the Australian Open final a few years ago, he attacked the forehand. He went forehand to forehand and he pulled Daniil off the court. The octopus gets a little big and wieldy with the backswing on the forehand, and that's where you need to attack. So every time in this match today, expect Novak to be winning juice court rallies, expect Daniil to be winning low court rallies, and it's just going to come down to other players aware of that. Is somebody going to make a change in maybe speed or spin or depth or height to disrupt that? So that's what I'm going to be looking for first, and then seeing who can counter if things aren't going well for them.
Craig, if you were on Novak's team, not publicly, but would you privately be kind of relieved you're not playing Carlos today?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Carlos is, the amount of unbelievable matches they've played recently, the Wimbledon final, the Cincinnati final. Carlos has an uncanny knack for getting himself out of tough holes that, when you're in a tough hole against Novak, he's normally not going to let you out of it. It's game, set, match. But Carlos finds a way out of those difficult situations better than anybody else against Novak. So, yeah, for sure, I would breathe a sigh of relief to say that the game plan is a little simpler against Daniil. You can drop shot him when he's late. You can come to the net against him. You can serve wide against him. You can play to his I would speak in the affirmative there.
Do you think the serve and volley technique that we saw, or tactic that we saw from Novak, I remember in Paris Bercy, but even more recently from Carlos in 2 or 3 matches against Daniil, do you think that serve and volley thing is something that Novak will lean on from time to time today?
He should, absolutely, especially with Daniil way back. It's the side serve out wide of the juice court, and it's the kick serve out wide of the leg court that he should look to do it the most. Novak likes to sneak a lot of second serves down the tee in the ad court. Remember, in Cincinnati, Novak served and volleyed 5 times on second serves and won every one of those points. So it's not just the first serve that he should serve and volley on. He should be doing it on second serves as well. and expect him to do it on some bigger points to kind of throw a different look at Daniil. If Daniil's winning a string of baseline points, expect Novak to certainly value in the try and break that.
The occasion, of course, this year compared to 2 years ago for Novak certainly is very different, but maybe for Daniil too. Daniil now has won his first Grand Slam. How much of a factor and who do you think there's more pressure on today, or is it 50-50?
Yeah, I think it's a situation today where there's not a lot of extra outside factors that could really disrupt either player and make them kind of tighten up. I think Novak's, in a good place. I think it's another semi-final. It's where he likes to be. We don't. He's not going for the calendar year Grand Slam. He's not trying to break any other record. So I don't think there's a problem there. And for Daniil, it's a nice surprise that he's back in the final with that unbelievable win against Alcaraz. So he just needs to make the most of the occasion and step up and beat Novak on a court where he's beaten him before. So I don't think there's anything outside that's going to derail this final.
Okay, one more, Craig. You talked about some of the matchup scenarios and certain places where it may be won and lost. What do you think is going to be the defining factor? And therefore, I'd like you to give me a suggestion on who's going to win.
I certainly think that it's Daniil's forehand. When we look around the court, that is the one. It's tough with him to say it's a weak link. He's so good. He hits it so well. But Novak can certainly pressure there. He did it in Australia. I've seen other players do it. It has to be common knowledge on the tour that his backhand. I've written so many stories on the ATP website about how good his backhand is. So I think that's what I'm going to look for today. And if Daniil cannot overhit, if he can play defense back cross court, what Daniil needs to do is straighten the rally up. He needs to go more through the middle of the court where Novak's going to try and pull him off the court. So in the out court, Daniil can have all the angle that he wants to pull Novak off the court. But he doesn't want to be reaching wide in a juice court, hitting a bunch of defensive forehands. That's not the strength of his game. So if he can avoid that by coming back to the middle and not giving Novak that angle on the next shot, that will be a huge deciding factor.
And so, give me a name.
Novak Djokovic in, I want to say 3 sets, but God, that's just disrespecting Daniil so much. So I'm going to go Novak in 4. 4 close sets. I think it'll be a great match. I think the rallies will be extended. It's raining, so it's going to be indoors. I was there for Coco's match yesterday. The crowd was unreal. They're so loud in that stadium. So I'm looking for a great match. Novak in 4 and attacking Daniil's forehand. I will write an ATP analysis, and that's the first thing that I'm going to look for. Did that happen? And if so, then I'm going to add that up and count those chickens and maybe link the story.
Craig, big thanks for joining us. Make sure you check out Craig's Brain Game Tennis. Make sure you subscribe to his newsletter like I do. And make sure you follow him on Twitter and all the other socials and keep abreast. And fingers crossed we get a match that is worthy of a good final, possibly like last year in other US Open finals too.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.